Cascade Hoops Talk, bringing the world NAIA basketball one podcast at a time. Good morning, Cascade Hoops Talk. Billy D here. Hey, today we're going to have Coach Chris Wright. He's at Langston University, just moved over there from Talladega. Langston is going to be a bit of a challenge, but before we talk about that, we got to recognize what Coach Wright did at Talladega. He won 106 games in 4 years. He got that team to the national tournament all 4 years there. And Coach Wright, and we're going to talk about that in the interview, he has a history of going in and really turning around and helping programs. So even though Langston was 1-27, I did ask him if he was crazy, and he was good enough to answer that question. But even though they're 1-27, he's really revamped the team. We're going to talk a lot about that. I think you're really going to enjoy listening to Coach Wright talk about the challenge he has at Langston. Also, I want to tell anybody in that Langston area, you got to get out and watch this team. Don't think this is the Langston of the last couple of years. This is going to be a completely different team, and you're going to love the way they get after it, especially on the defensive side. I apologize. During the interview, we did have a little bit of phone service problem, but I think I was able to correct it. But if you hear any background noise or if the signal fades, I apologize for that. So thanks again to Coach Wright. I'm going to shut up and let's take a listen. Cascade Hoops Talk, Billy D here. Hey, I've got the head coach at Langston University and new head coach at Langston, Chris Wright, who was the head coach at Talladega last season. You all know they were the runner-up at the NAIA finals. Welcome, Coach. I really appreciate you being on the show.
Hey, absolutely. Always good to talk to you, and thanks for having me today.
So, Coach, you're at Langston now. That's about 20 miles north of Oklahoma City, up I-35, maybe not even that far. And you also, I want to talk about your team. But before we do that, Coach, I just want to touch on what an unbelievable run you had at Talladega, culminating last season with that runner-up. Just talk about what a great run you had there.
Thank you for the kind words. Obviously, my wife and I were really blessed to spend 4 years at Talladega, and made a lot of great friendships and a lot of lifelong friends there. And I think we went 106-25 in our 4 years, and just was really blessed to coach a lot of really good players and have really good assistant coaches. And so, for us to make it to the national championship, and I think we're the first HBCU in 35 years to play in the national title in college basketball. And so it was really special.
Coach, you had to make a decision at the end of last season. There were a player had broken some rules. The championship game is coming up. You make that tough decision to sit him down. I just got to tell you, I mean that really showed me a lot. That your discipline and doing things the right way came before the game, even going into a championship game.
It was well. Thank you for that. Obviously, anytime situations like that arise, it's a really hard decision. And I think at the end of the day, as a head coach, one, you want to do the right thing by your team, but also, for each individual. And so, I always tell people that if it's just about winning, then at the end of the day, it's really empty, right? Mm-hmm. And, I think my job as a head coach is to teach guys life lessons and, hold guys accountable. And, I deeply love everyone in our program, and sometimes it's tough love. Yeah. But at the end of the day, I wanted to sleep well at night and feel like we made the right decision. Obviously, it was tough losing. Loyola was really, really good. But, if I had to go back and do it all over again, I feel like we made the right call on that.
Doing the right thing isn't always easy, right, Coach?
And especially, when it impacts people's lives, right? And I think that sometimes as a lot of coaches are in coaching, it's real easy to forget that. And again, we did what we thought was right for that individual, and then right for our program as a whole.
So you didn't go to Langston empty-handed. You have I think a really, really good staff. You brought John Warren with you from Talladega, who's really getting a great reputation around the country as an assistant coach. And also you brought in Chris Vincent, who he's had a really accomplished and proven assistant coaching record. Talk about those two guys.
Those guys are going to make me look a lot better than I really am. That's for sure. having the opportunity to coach John Warren for 3 years, at Central Baptist and at Talladega, and his growth as a coach in the last 2 years has been tremendous. But more than anything, man, he is a great person. Our guys are very fortunate to be coached by him on a basis. I always tell people, he really is like a son to me. We were really close when he was a player and I was a coach, and now getting to coach with him that's something that's really special to me. And he's going to be, he already is a heck of a head coach, and I one day, and I can't wait. Yeah, and then, being able to bring in a coach of Chris Vincent's caliber. He's been at 3 different Division I's. The guy's a basketball junkie, another guy that has a heart of gold, and a lot of experience at every level. And so, what those 2 guys bring to our staff and to our players, I think it's unbelievable.
Coach, before I ask you if you've completely lost your mind, Langston went 1-27 last season. I know that's what the fans want to hear about. But can everyone in the NAI just assume that you're going to go into Langston and you're going to play a loose 2-3, give up the perimeter, and try to pack it down low?
I hope that, kind of what we've done at Talladega will work here. I guess that remains to be seen. But yeah, I've got asked that a lot, this summer and this fall. A couple of things. One, it really was a complete God thing for me to end up at Langston. We love Talladega. Our president had retired at the beginning of last year, and so that obviously kind of made us, my wife and I want to look at the end of the season.
Yep.
And just finding out more about the university here at Langston. It's a really good institution. And I work for the best president in the country. I really mean that. Dr. Kent Smith he's an unbelievable leader. He's very passionate. I think he places a lot of value on athletics here at Langston. And so to have a president like that, honestly, it's a dream come true. And so I'm really excited to be here. It's close to home for me. I'm about 3.5 hours from the Dallas-Fort Worth area. So that's really special. My dad passed away last December, and it really made just kind of how fragile life is. It made it really real to me, and so to get a chance to be around my mom and stepdad and sisters is something that's really special to me and something that I don't take for granted. And so, my wife and I are really excited to be here and looking forward to the season coming up.
So you take over a program 1-27. You've went in there and you've completely revamped the roster. I want you to talk about it, but I looked through it and just a kind of a primer for the fans. You got A.J. Rainey coming over there from LSU, Alexandria, DeMonte Brown out of Miami-Dade, Tristan Harper, Middle Georgia. I think it's Jamar Reed out of Central Connecticut. He was with you as a redshirt at Talladega. And Toru Dean from Barry come in and play the point. You put those 5 on the court, you're going to be pretty good. And you got some more, too.
Yeah, I love our talent level. On paper, I really think that we're more talented than we were at Talladega last year. Now, how tough we are and how unselfish we'll be, that kind of remains to be seen, right? Talent doesn't always equate wins. But yeah, man, our staff, I thought, have done a great job in putting together the class that we have here. So I think we have 9 or 10 guys that could start for us. So I think we'll be really deep. And, I guess it's kind of my job to figure out which 5 guys we're going to run out there first. And so, definitely have been wrestling with that through the first week of practice. But I love the potential of this team.
Well, the fans need to know that you all throughout your coaching career, you have not shied away from a challenge. You went to Graceland, you made them better. Then you went over to Angelo State. You were able to improve that program. And then you made a big impact at Central Baptist before going to a Talladega. So, and at each place, you've kind of taken this same approach where you really kind of rebuild the roster and build a strong program. So the recipe.
I hope so. I feel like we do. But again, I don't take for granted how hard it is in college basketball.
Oh, yeah.
The Sooner Athletic Conference, I think it's going to be really, really good this year. Like you look, and the top 6 or 7 teams are really, really good, and they're well coached. And so, we definitely have our work cut out for us. But just as far as the caliber of job this is, for me, I felt like this was a step up. Like, our campus is beautiful. Our school is just really, really good in every way possible. We're Oklahoma's only HBCU, which I feel like is something that we can, really sell and really market, in recruiting. And so there's a lot of really special and really neat things about Langston, and the trajectory that the school has been on. We hope our program can, kind of hop on board and continue to improve and grow the way that our institution as a whole has.
But you probably won't play a loose 2-3 and just sacrifice the perimeter.
Billy D, we probably won't do that. I hope we can be close to as good defensively as we were at Talladega. As far as style of play, I think it'll be pretty similar, right? It's like my old mentor, we were talking about it this summer, Jim Sy. He just said, Coach, if it's not broke, don't fix it. And so, I think we'll probably play very similar.
So then we can count on Coach Wright on the sidelines wearing his heart on his sleeve. Everybody in the gym knows how you feel. I mean, good or bad. I mean, you celebrate more than I'm a big fan, and you celebrate more than I do.
I just feel like, man, as a head coach, you have to be you. Our guys put in a lot of work and sacrifice a lot. And so if I can't have passion and energy, like I think it's really hard for me to expect them to. And so I know I get a little animated at times, but again, it's I'm very passionate about what we do and very passionate about, about the guys that I get to coach.
Well, if you haven't had a chance to watch Coach Wright coach, I'll tell you one thing. He's got one of the best fist pumps in the business on a big three or something. Boy, you know how to celebrate a big shot, Coach.
Hey, I appreciate that. My wife gives me a hard time because my shirt tail's hanging out 3/4 of the time. So, man, I'm going to work on tying the belt a little tighter and hopefully keeping my shirt tucked in this year, though.
Coach, I'd mentioned some of the guys you brought in. I know everything's a crapshoot. I have to ask you about whenever I see a 7-footer coming into the NAI, I automatically assume they're a project. But James Ellis, he's 7 foot. But he's got some bulk to him, too. He's out of Beaver County and Duquesne.
James is, he's a legit 7-footer. He's athletic. He moves well. He's very skilled. And I think he's just beginning to scratch the surface of, how good he can be. He is very, very talented. I mean, I think he's more talented than any big that we had at Talladega. There's like anyone, there's definitely some areas he needs to improve in, but his ceiling is so high. So I think if he's locked in and he's right mentally, he's going to be really, really good for us.
Well, yeah, if you can get a 7-footer 7-footer period, those guys are hard to find. Another question I had, and I'm sure you've gone through your roster 100 times, but the one area where you might be a little bit thin, and tell me if I'm wrong, but you got Toru Dean coming in out of Barry. I'd probably saying his first name wrong, but he's a really, really good point guard. And then AJ Rainey can play point as well. Is other than that, but you're just loaded with wings. Are you concerned that are you concerned about that?
Well, I first off, you talked about Toru and AJ. Man, Toru is he is a true point guard. He's a great leader. He's competitive. I mean, he's an absolute stud. I thought our point guard play was really good last year, and I think it could be even better here this year at Langston with him. And there's kind of going to be a logjam for minutes at the wing spot.
Yeah.
I think a lot of coaches sometimes worry about that and worry about making guys happy. Honestly, at the end of the day, I'd rather us be happy and win games than be kind of concerned about guys playing time. I know that might sound kind of harsh, but, for us, even in the recruiting process, like nothing's promised. We're really honest about that. Guys have to come in and work and earn their minutes and earn everything. And so, I think we have 5 wings that could legitimately start for us. And so it's going to be really interesting to see how that plays itself out.
Yeah, you've got a long history of playing a lot of guys, so a lot of guys play not usually huge minutes. And then the other thing is you're really known for mixing up the starting lineup.
I think over the years, I hate to see guys become complacent.
Mm-hmm.
And, it's important to me that guys stay hungry. And, I think we started the year last year 14-0 at Talladega. And, it's really easy to see complacency set in, especially when you're dealing with young men, right? And so that's kind of one way that I found that it keeps guys hungry. It keeps guys locked in, just knowing that their spot is never safe. They got to show up. And if we had a good day yesterday, we got to show up and have another good one today. And so I hope the consistency that we demand out of our guys, just helps us have the success here that we've had in the past.
Hey, Coach Wright, have you ever seen the video of Bobby Knight talking about the bench sending a signal to the butt, which sends a signal to the brain that says, I don't like this, which sends a signal to the body that says, work harder? It goes on for like 7 minutes, and it's hilarious. You got to look up the video. It's Coach Bobby Knight.
Oh yeah, it's pure gold, and our guys have definitely, I've stolen that from Coach Knight a couple times, so they hear that a few times a year for sure.
As we just talked about, and I agree with you, on paper, this team has the potential to do, whatever they set their mind to if they play together and work hard and everybody does their job kind of thing. But you got to put it to action, right? And you're in the Sooner Athletic Conference. That is a tough go. You're going to kick off with Dallas Christian. When do you play? On 10/28. So you got less than a month. How's it looking so far?
Coach Warren, man. So when we first started practice, he had the number 35 written on his whiteboard in his office. And I was like, what's that? He's like, well, Coach, that's the number of days until we play. I'm like, Coach, man, please take that down. So every time I go in his office, it stresses me out. So, we're getting pretty close here. Practice is going well. But again, with a lot of new guys and being at a new place, there's just a lot of adjusting. And I love our talent level, but we're definitely going to be a work in progress. Unfortunately, on October 28th, we're still going to have a long, long ways to go. But man, I've been really proud of our guys. They've all worked hard. They've all done anything that we've asked so far. And so I think if they continue to do that, we definitely have a chance.
Coach, can you talk just a little bit about the Sooner Athletic Conference? Obviously, you've done your research. Just talk about that conference as a whole.
Well, I think anytime you think of the Sooner Athletic Conference, at least for me, I think basketball. Mm-hmm. There's a lot of programs with really, really rich traditions. I mean, Mackey's won a national championship. Texas Wesleyan's won a couple national championships. Obviously, Oklahoma City in the past. But it's just a really, really good league. It's kind of unique. One of my best friends, Clint Gallion, was my assistant at Central Baptist. The year we were there, he's the head coach at Wayland Baptist. They're going to be really, really good this year. He's done a tremendous job recruiting, and the guy just wins. And so you science and arts, Southwestern Assemblies of God. I mean, you can go on and on about how good the league is. So it's going to be really hard. Even as talented as we are, we're really going to have to work to have a chance to get to the national tournament. And so it's definitely caused me some sleepless nights, Billy D, that's for sure.
I've talked to every coach about this, but you look up and down everybody's schedule this year. I mean, the NAI, number one, the NAI is absolutely loaded, and everybody's playing a tough schedule, and I think it's going to be the best season ever NAI basketball, and I mean that.
I agree with you. When you look at just kind of the impact that COVID had on college mm-hmm. basketball. I mean, we have a number of kind of fifth-year guys that if it wasn't for COVID, their eligibility would be done. And so I think you do have a number of really, really good players, obviously, that normally would have graduated and moved on. And so, in our situation, we have a guy like Tristan Harper, a fifth-year senior, who's really, really good. I mean, we couldn't guard him at Talladega. He lit us up a couple of times. A.J. Rainey, Anthony White from Indiana, Pennsylvania. I mean, those guys, if it wasn't for COVID, would be out of eligibility. And so I think across the country, just the competition level is going to be really, really good this year.
Yeah, and on a personal note, if you're a guy who looks up teams to research them, it's impossible to see who they should have coming back the next year because senior doesn't really mean anything anymore. So you have to sit there and wait for anyway. That gets really frustrating.
Man, I'm sure it's as a guy like you who does his homework, and I'm sure that's like trying to put trying to figure out a calculus equation.
Exactly.
Sure.
Well, I feel handcuffed, but I'm sure the world isn't going to revolve around me. I've been trying for 66 years. It ain't worked. Hey, Coach, I want to give a message to the people in Langston all the way down to Oklahoma City. Anybody who's a small college, and I know there are some great small college basketball fans in that area. If you've never given Langston a look-see, you need to get up there and go to those Langston games because I can't promise you they're going to have a great world beater season. I'm sure Coach is going to do everything he can. I can promise you this: they're going to play hard, and they're going to play some of the toughest defense in the country. And you need to get up there and see what this is all about with Coach Wright. It's worth the $8 or whatever it is. But get up there and watch a program that maybe you hadn't checked out before.
Well, Billy D, man, thank you for all the kind things you said about us and our program, and I'll be sure to get that check in the mail to you for for all the lives.
I'm gonna have to raise my rates,
today, man.
Well, Coach, we're all rooting for you there. I'm certainly glad you came on. I think I'm just can't wait to see what's going to happen there. And as I said, the fans, I think, are going to be really, really thrilled when they see how hard your guys play.
Hey, thank you so much. It's always great talking to you. And obviously we continue to pray for you, and man, hope your health continues to improve, and man, that you get healthy.
Well, I appreciate that. And as they say, God willing, and the creek don't rise, I'm going to see you in Kansas City.
Yes, sir. I sure hope so. We'll definitely have to get together and have a steak for sure.
Hey, that's Coach Chris Wright, Langston University head coach. Thanks a lot, Coach Wright. I really appreciate it.
Hey, yes, sir. It's really good talking to you, man. If you need anything from us, let us know. And then shoot, I would love, if you have time or you think about it, send me your address. All of our gear is about to be in. I'd love to send you some stuff.
Oh, absolutely. I appreciate that.
Yeah. So just send me your sizes, for everything, and shoot, in the next couple of weeks, we'll get that out to you.
Oh yeah. Well, my size, I'll break the bank. I will do, Coach. I really appreciate that.
Hey, I appreciate you, sir. Have a good day.
Okay. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Billy. Bye-bye.
Hey, thanks a lot to Coach Wright and to Langston University. Coach has got a bit of a challenge there, but I really think he's taken the right steps, and I'm really anxious to see how they end up this season. Again, if you live in that area, you live anywhere around Oklahoma City, drive up to Langston, watch yourself some NAI basketball, and I guarantee it ain't going to break you. I guarantee you're going to get your money's worth, because I'm going to tell you right now, NAI basketball is the best entertainment value in America.